Coming to Apple TV, Secrets Can Be Deadly, and on March 18th, they will be. Apple TV's new original series, Imperfect Women, is a sexy murder mystery told from the perspectives of three women, Nancy, Eleanor, and Mary, who have built a friendship over 25 years that has made them like family. The three women thought they shared everything with each other: their fears, their hopes, their dreams, and their secrets. But when Nancy is murdered, everyone becomes a suspect. Eleanor and Mary are left to uncover the secrets their friend kept hidden behind her seemingly perfect life. As the investigation unravels, the two women will stop at nothing to find out who is responsible for their friend's death. Lines are crossed, boundaries are broken, and friendships are tested. This sultry thriller will keep you on the edge of your seat. Starring Elisabeth Moss, Kerry Washington, and Kate Mara, Imperfect Women, streaming March 18th, only on Apple TV.
That was the kind of moment we didn't get at the Oscars that you were hoping for.
Yeah, there was no moment. I want a moment.
There were a few ballet and opera jokes and references during the show, which I was almost a little bit surprised at that was still something that everyone was talking about. I guess it was kind of like low-hanging fruit to make fun of Timothée Chalamet and kind of kick him while he was down.
Like this scandal, like him saying that ballet and opera were irrelevant, which I don't think he actually believes. I think he just worded what he was trying to say wrongly.
He was just speaking a fundamental truth that everyone agrees with.
Yeah. Hello, this is another episode of Obsessed the Podcast. I'm Kevin Fallon, here to guide you through all the TV shows, movies, and celebrity nonsense that we think is unmissable. And I'm here the morning after the Oscars with my friend Matt Wilstein. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Kevin, how's it going? Bright and early here on the West Coast.
Bright and early here on the East Coast too, man. It's going well. This was a very interesting Oscars, wasn't it?
Yeah, I had fun watching it. Did you like this Oscars, Kevin?
Actually, I would say no.
Okay, all right.
I thought it was a little bit snoozy.
Okay.
Like there was, even though there was all this tension beforehand about like, will sinners win? Will one battle off another win? I still thought that it was a little bit of a drab Oscars.
Because you felt like you did know what was going to happen, or just the way they presented it, or what was the thing that felt like it dragged for you?
It was a telecast. I thought that Conan O'Brien tried really hard, but none of the bits really landed. I didn't think the speeches were that engaging. Like all the things that you want from the show, the moments that you want didn't happen. Like I can't think of anything from last night that would be something that we talk about going forward.
Okay, all right. I mean, I felt pretty energized by the opening. I had actually just watched Weapons the night before, which was like the movie that I still needed to see, which I was delaying as long as possible because I don't like horror movies. And I will say, for anyone who has not watched it because they're worried it's too scary, it's scary, but it's not crazy.
That's a good note.
Yeah. I mean, it is crazy, but it's not like the scariest thing you've ever seen in your life. But I did enjoy the opening Weapons parody, and I was very glad to have seen the movie finally, or else I would have had absolutely no idea what was going on with that piece where he's playing Aunt Gladys and the children are chasing him through all the other movies. So I'm curious, for anyone who had not seen that movie, what they made of the opening of the show.
And then Amy Madigan, who is a veteran of TV of movies. I mean, Field of Dreams. Like for me, that's the first time that I met her. It was so nice to watch someone like that win.
Yeah.
And her speech was very lovely. She's just like, I've been here forever. It's great that now I finally get to have an Oscar.
Yeah. Well, part of the problem, right, is the length of award season and the fact that we've been watching these same actors and these award shows for so long that by the time you get to the Oscars, it does feel like it's just the last step in this long process, as opposed to the most exciting moment of award season, which it's supposed to be and has been historically.
It almost seems like a burden to win the Oscar at this point because like you've gone through this entire long process. There's all these articles written about you. There's betting about you. Like people betting on whether or not you're going to win must be an insane thing for a human to experience. And then it's the Oscar night and they call your name. And you're like, oh God, now I have to actually like give my speech.
Well, yeah, we know that was the case for Sean Penn, who did not show up to collect his third acting Oscar. I think he's one of like 8 people ever to win
Yeah.
3 acting Oscars, and he was like, I don't think I need to be there for that." Were you surprised that he did not show?
I wasn't surprised. I wish that he was there because well, he has a reputation for being a little bit political in his speeches,
Mhm. Yep.
and I think that it would've been interesting to hear what he would have to say about what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Um, Whether or not you agree with him is one thing, but, like, I think it would be fun to hear his spicy speech.
Yeah. The reporting that we were seeing last night is that he skipped it because he was in Ukraine, which okay, but it does seem like he gave up a pretty big platform to make whatever comment or speech or statement that he would have wanted to make about that issue or any other. And obviously, One Battle After Another is quite a political film, so it wouldn't have felt totally out of place either. I was kind of surprised, I guess, that Paul Thomas Anderson got up 3 times and he like alluded to politics a little bit, but I feel like that was also kind of a missed opportunity to make a statement about what he was trying to say with this movie, which I think has pretty complicated politics.
And I feel like no one really took an opportunity to speak about things. Like, I know that there's this sense that, like, "Oh, they're actors, they should shut up, they should just be acting, and we don't care what you think about the world." But this is a huge platform that these people have, and typically it has been used to talk about politics, and I felt
Mhm.
like no one last night really took that opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the other big thing going into the show was just which of these 2 really big movies was going to come out on top. Obviously, Sinners and One Battle After Another. I think in retrospect, it was always gonna be One Battle After Another, and it had won the most precursors, and it was sort of what most people were predicting. I will give a little, background on our office pool. We all pick, our winners. Um, First of all, Kevin, congrats. You came in 2nd at
You
the
went
office.
second, yeah, not first, but second.
I think I was tied for 4th, because I tried to take some big swings. So I picked, Sinners to win Best Picture, which I didn't like. I thought was the less likely outcome in some ways, but I was like, I felt like that was my only way to potentially win, as if there was an upset in in Best Picture.
And also,
Um,
that wasn't a crazy pick, like, it has
yeah,
the most nominations ever of any
yeah.
movie at the Oscars. You would think that that would translate to a Best Picture win, but it didn't.
Yeah, and I also picked, Wumi Masaka to win Best Supporting just 'cause I thought if there was a Sinners surge, like, maybe she would get swept up in it, but, so I wasn't that surprised by Amy Madigan winning Best Supporting Actress. The thing that really made me think, "Oh, it's over for Sinners," is that, casting award, which is the new category they added this year, and when that went to One Battle After Another, which everyone had been predicting that one would go to Sinners, I thought, "Well, okay, this is a one battle night," and it did turn out sort of everything that they could possibly win from there on out. They did, except for best cinematography, which is one of my favorite moments of the night. Which the first woman ever to win that
Mhm.
award for Sinners got up there and gave this great speech, saying all the women stand up, and I thought that was a really nice
That was a
moment
great
of the
moment,
night.
yeah. Hold on for just one second, Matt, while we hear a word from our sponsors.
Coming to Apple TV, Secrets Can Be Deadly, and on March 18th, they will be. Apple TV's new original series, Imperfect Women, is a sexy murder mystery told from the perspectives of 3 women, Nancy, Eleanor, and Mary, who have built a friendship over 25 years that has made them like family. The 3 women thought they shared everything with each other: their fears, their hopes, their dreams, and their secrets. But when Nancy is murdered, everyone becomes a suspect. Eleanor and Mary are left to uncover the secrets their friend kept hidden behind her seemingly perfect life. As the investigation unravels, the 2 women will stop at nothing to find out who is responsible for their friend's death. Lines are crossed, boundaries are broken, and friendships are tested. This sultry thriller will keep you on the edge of your seat. Starring Kerry Washington, Elisabeth Moss, and Kate Mara in Perfect Women, streaming March 18th, only on Apple TV.
And now we're back with more Obsessed. I think they were hoping for a big moment too with that casting category. They did the big 5
Yeah.
presentation with Paltrow and, all these other actors who were presenting like a heartfelt speech about what the casting award means. And I think that that presentation, which I love, only works when it's famous people.
Yeah, they just weren't famous enough, or the winners, the potential winners weren't famous
Right.
enough.
Yeah, like we're talking about these people who I'm sure are so talented and so good at their jobs, but they're not Sandra Bullock, they're not
Mm.
fi you know what I mean? They're not movie stars. So hearing these stories about them, I'm just like, I don't know why I care about this.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see what how that category plays out over the years because it is sort of this casting is this very mysterious thing that I feel like people don't know that much about. So will this either teach us more about it or will just become this kind of opaque, like it just goes to the best picture winner every
So
year?
so that's my concern. That's my biggest concern. Like it actually is a great category to have, and I hope that it like is a category on its merits, meaning like
Hmm.
people actually vote on it based on the best casting. But I think it's gonna be like what has happened to like best editing and
Hmm.
like those categories. Like it's just gonna end up going to best picture, which is
Yeah.
not fair.
They have to figure out a better way to do that because even my other sort of favorite moment of the night was the Bridesmaids cast reunion up on stage, and like that movie was not nominated for Best Picture, but that would have been a great casting.
Including Wendy McClendon Covey, who was not at that reunion. I don't understand. Why wasn't she there?
So she did. Have you seen her Instagram? She did post.
No, I haven't seen this yet.
So yeah, she said she was under the weather. She had, I guess, recently gotten some sort of surgery that was not specified. I think she's okay, but she was apparently getting bombarded by messages last night of like, "Where were you? Why were you there?" Because she was really the sixth member of that cast
Yeah.
who wasn't present. And people might know her from Reno 911 and the Goldbergs, and she's done a lot of great stuff.
And
Uh,
Satanist Medical, which I think is one of the best
oh
shows that is
yeah,
airing right now.
yeah.
Yeah, it's so
Um,
funny.
and so she wasn't there, and everyone thought, "Ooh, is there some bad blood or something going on?" And she tried to kind of tamp that down, but at the same time, it was notable that she wasn't there. I think she would have been a great addition, but that was a very funny. That was probably the funniest bit of the night, more than anything Conan did, I would say.
I have to say, I was really disappointed by Conan. Like, I didn't
Yeah,
find any of those bits to be funny.
yeah, it was tough. I had very high hopes for him last year when he hosted, and I was actually a little, and everyone was like so high on him last year, and I think I my expectations were like a little too high, and to the point where I was a little disappointed. So then this year, by the time this year came around, I was like, okay, yeah, I feel like I know what he does as Oscars host now.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was not the energy maybe was not quite where it needed to be. Did you stick around for the post credits sequence at the Oscars, which I did not know was going to be a thing?
I did not. What happened at the post-credit
This
sequence?
was his One Battle After Another bit where he played the Sean Penn character at the very end, getting his own office.
Oh,
He's
no.
Yeah. So, and it was with Jim Downey, who's the legendary SNL writer, who's in One Battle After Another, who's in that scene with Sean Penn at the end, where he's spoiler alert, I guess, for the Best Picture winner at the very end, when Sean Penn thinks he's getting his own office of the Christmas Adventurers Club,
Yeah.
and then is shuttled off the mortal coil.
Yeah, euthanize? Would
Yeah.
that be the right word?
So they did that to Conan at the end of the show, and then the final joke was that he's being replaced as Oscars host. Instead of Oscars host for life, he's being replaced by Mr. Beast. So that was the nod to the Oscars future on YouTube. Which for anyone who doesn't know, the Oscars are going to be on YouTube not until 2029, I think. But yeah, that's our future. Kevin is covering the Oscars on YouTube, which maybe is good for us. I don't know.
I mean, it will be easier at least because I last night thought that it was streaming on Hulu for free. It was not. You had to then upgrade your subscription to a Hulu Plus Live TV subscription in order to watch it on Hulu. So I spent the first 3 months of the Oscars in a panic attack trying to figure out how to subscribe to just watch the freaking show.
Yeah. It is, yeah. I mean, at least on YouTube, I imagine they will be making it very easy for people, although not for the older people who are used to watching it on TV. I feel like those people are going to have a lot of trouble figuring out how to watch the Oscars, but yeah, for most people,
Yeah.
we should be able to figure it out.
I mean, but who has real TV anymore?
Yeah. Um, only the very elderly Oscars viewers who tuned in. I don't know. Do you think the ratings are going to be up this year? I feel like that's always the other big question coming out of these things is how it's gonna do.
So I know typically the ratings are on par with how popular movies were, and this was a year where One Battle and Sinners were both very, very popular movies. So
Mhm.
I do wonder if that will translate in the ratings or not. It wasn't a year where like the Best Picture frontrunner was like this small indie foreign film that no one talks about or cares about. Like that's when like the Oscars really, really take in the ratings. Um, so I'm curious if people actually, like, tuned in to watch, like, it would this would be the bellwether of that, like, because those
Mhm.
movies were actually, like, popular.
And that it was not, it was pretty unpredictable c as far as the Oscars go, whereas usually we go into these things knowing whatever how everything's gonna go. I mean, that's what I was excited about going is really just not knowing who was gonna win a lot of these awards. The big one that we haven't talked about, which I thought was sort of the biggest category of the night, the most exciting category of the night was Best
Best
Actor.
actor, yes, best
Um,
actor.
so what did you make of how that all played out? And well, first of all, who did you have on your ballot?
Well, I had Michael B. Jordan on my ballot,
Okay, me too, me too.
which is why I came in 2nd place in our, office pool. Um, but I don't think it was because of this crazy scandal with, Timothy Chalamet and, him talking about ballet and opera. I don't think it was because of that. I think it was really just because people love Sinners so much that they voted for Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, there were a few, ballet and opera jokes and references during the show, which I was almost a little bit surprised at that that was still something that everyone was talking about, but I guess it was kind of like low-hanging fruit to make fun of Timothy Chalamet, and kind of kick him while he was down.
And into the Oscar race, like this scandal, like him saying that ballet and opera were irrelevant, which I don't think he actually believes. I think he just worded what he was trying to say
Yeah.
wrongly.
He was
So
just speaking a fundamental truth that everyone agrees with.
yeah, like I feel bad that like this has become a controversy for him. Um, but it happened like that exploded after
Yeah.
voting ended. So I don't think that's the reason why he lost.
No, I think it started with the actor awards and that big moment where Michael B. Jordan was the surprise winner that night. I don't think anyone really saw that coming.
I mean, Viola Davis reading that name and being
Oh,
so happy, that was such a great moment.
that was the kind of moment we didn't get at the Oscars that you were that you were hoping for.
Yeah, there was no moment. I want a moment.
But it was still pretty exciting when he did win, and I think even though it was predicted at this point, it was his reaction to winning, him getting up there, him starting his speech with "What's up, mom," was pretty great.
Yeah,
And then just, he's such a, uh, class act at this point, and, like, everyone just loves him, and I think his speech was so sincere about, like, "You've all been rooting for me for so long, thank you." It was just like, I felt something at that moment, having watched him grow up on The Wire and Friday Night Lights and
I know Friday Night Lights. Oh my god, he was so good on that show.
so, that was a really nice moment. And I think, Timothy Chalamet will have to wait, for something else. I'm always very curious in these cases when someone misses out. Like now, it's 2 years in a row that Timothy Chalamet was like kind of the front runner to win Best Actor and lost. So now it just feels like inevitably it's going to be like another 20 years before he wins Best Actor,
He's a new Leonardo DiCaprio, basically.
which I'm sure he's is a good comparison for him, and he
Yeah.
feels good about.
It's also interesting, like, he clearly wants to win so badly,
Hmm.
and people, like, trash that, and I'm like, "I don't understand." Like, he's an actor who's nominated for an Oscar. He wants to win it. Like, why is that a bad thing? Like, why is
Hmm.
that something that we, like, treat as cringe or
Yeah.
as, like, some sort of, like, deficit to him?
No, yeah, he's clearly very ambitious. He wants it. I think people don't like, braggadocio or people who like call themselves the greatest. He's kind of taken that approach at times and then kind of backed off it when he realizes that that might not be what people like. Um, and then of course he was playing Marty Supreme, which is like the epitome of that character. So then I think he just leaned into that. Maybe he was like doing an Austin Butler still stuck in the Elvis thing and was still playing Marty Supreme the whole award season. But yeah, it didn't work out for him, but he'll have his time. I trust that he'll pull it off at some point.
And I just really enjoy the fact that there is a member of the Kardashian family who is now at every major, serious Hollywood award show.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you got to be there. Yeah. What about Zendaya? I just saw something about people spotting the ring on her finger. What's the story with this? Can you help me understand what's going on with Zendaya's secret marriage?
Um, well, I mean, I was at the wedding, so I can't. I had to sign an NDA, so I can't really talk about that much. But no, I know as much as you know, which is that apparently she and Tom Holland got secretly married, and now she's walking around with her ring,
But not talking about it.
not talking about it. She's gorgeous and just like to me, she is a movie star in a way that I was like afraid would go away. Like the Julia Roberts, the Sandra Bullock, like that kind of movie star I thought was gone. But she, I think, is like like the new era of that. Like she is so glamorous. She is so famous that she is having a secret wedding, and we're talking about her ring and like trying to like figure out what's going on with this. Like the fact that this is even happening, I think is like just a great sign for the future of movies.
Did you happen to catch her long advertisement for what ended up being a watch on the broadcast? Did that come through your feed?
Not no, but I had no commercials on my Hulu Live
Oh,
TV thing.
no
Yeah.
commercials. Oh, well, there were some good commercials, including one for, I think, Rolex that was, Zendaya, and it was like it felt like it was, like, 2 minutes long and included clips from all of her movies and was like it was really making the case for her as a movie star in this watch ad, that, I'm sure you can find on YouTube, people should check out.
I'll have to watch that. But I wanna talk about, like, what I think is, so we keep talking about moments and how I wish there was a moment.
Mhm.
The one thing that I thought approached that was the in memoriam segment.
Yeah, I wanted to know your thoughts about this one.
I cried for the full it was long. It was, like 9
Well,
minutes.
a lot of people died this year.
That was the thing, like, going into the show, I was like, "Oh gosh, this is gonna be a really hard segment because so many people have died, so many legends have died." I thought they did it really well. I loved Rachel McAdams coming on in the middle of it to talk
Mhm.
about Catherine O'Hara and Diane Keaton. Barbara Streisand at the end,
Yeah.
picking up a microphone and singing, like, it was really, really good.
Yeah, it was interesting how they did it with they sort of broke it up with these 3 moments. So the first one was Billy Crystal talking about Rob Reiner, and then I was really hit by that parade. I think it was like 16
Yes.
actors walking out who had been in Rob Reiner
My
movies.
issue is that they didn't, like, do some sort of, like, pan across all of them,
Yeah, the camera work was a little tough on that one.
Demi Moore was there, like, show me Demi Moore, like
Yeah, Meg Ryan didn't get quite the moment that there'd been a lot of tease about a Billy Crystal, Meg Ryan coming together to honor Rob Reiner, and that didn't they stood next to each other for a second, but it didn't really we didn't get the
yeah.
when Harry met Sally moment that, was promised. Exactly. But it was very moving.
They should've just ended the whole thing with, "I'll have what she's having."
Yeah, yeah. That's Rob Reiner's mom, right? Is the who
Yeah, yeah.
delivers that iconic line.
But I thought that, like, that was the closest the Oscars came to, like, some sort of, like, big emotional thing that I'll rewatch on YouTube. As you know, like,
Mhm,
I love watching Oscars clips on YouTube. It's one of my favorite things to do. Um, there wasn't much from this show that I think that
mhm.
I would go back to rewatch, but that in memoriam segment was so beautiful and so emotional, and there were so again, so many people who died that I would go back and watch it.
I did wonder, like, what some of the people who didn't get that special moment, with their families or what people think about that when it's like, well, why did these people get the tribute and others don't? Like, Robert Duvall was a pretty big deal in Hollywood, and he got, like, some extra clips, but he didn't get his own, like, big moment.
Diane Ladd, Laura Dern's mother,
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
had a just her face on the screen during a montage. Meanwhile, we're giving speeches by other people.
But I think they did produce that part well, and it was a good moment. I was curious. I didn't catch immediately who, I didn't know immediately who Rachel McAdams was going to be honoring, but then I immediately thought of, The Family Stone and,
Yeah.
Diane Keaton playing her mom in that movie and their relationship. I think they were in another movie together too, right?
And I also loved her, reference to being Canadian with Catherine O'Hara,
Mm,
it's always nice what I mean, obviously, Canadians are the nicest people in the world. They're just nice people. So when she was like, "My fellow Canadian," I was like, "Oh, that makes sense," because Rachel
yeah.
McAdams just seemed so nice, and Catherine O'Hara was so nice. That tracked to me.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what the other sort of moments that stood out in the show were, but yeah, I think, as you said, it was they were fewer and far between than we've seen before. But yeah, I don't know. I like watching the Oscars every year, no matter no matter what it is. And I think like there's always something to enjoy.
I'm glad that One Battle for Another won because remember watching the movie in theaters and being like, "Oh my god, this is like a film."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you watch
Hmm.
something, you're like, "Oh, this is like this isn't just a movie, this is a film."
It was definitely my favorite of the year. And then I kind of psyched myself out that Sinners was going to beat it, but I ended up being very glad that One Battle won.
And I'm glad that, like, we even had this conversation about Sinners and One Battle for Another because they're both movies that they're both provocative, they're both very timely. I think they're both gonna be timeless. I think that we're gonna be
Hmm.
talking about these movies for a very long time. And that's, like, the kind of film that sometimes the Oscars get a reputation for, like, not rewarding.
Hmm.
Like, these are both, like, populist, like, everyone saw them, everyone loved them, and they're getting their due, which I think is really interesting and really nice.
What's the best picture nominee winning that would have made you the most angry?
Oh, I mean, F1.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not true. That's not true. I had a really good time watching F1 on IMAX. I never in a million years thought it was gonna be a Best Picture nominee when I watched it.
Yeah.
I just thought it was gonna be, like, a fun film. So I had a lot of fun watching it. The one that I just wasn't for me, Frankenstein.
Yeah. Which won 3 Oscars last night.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know, like, it's a Guillermo del Toro version of Frankenstein that you can sort of just, like, map out in your head
Mhm.
when you hear that he's doing it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that there was never, like, a good chance of one of these terrible movies winning, like, I mean, all respect to Guillermo del Toro, but, Shape of Water winning the Best Picture Oscar was not, something that I was very excited about when it happened, so I like that going in, the only 2 real possibilities were 2 very good movies.
Yeah. But also, like, I always tried to imagine, like, what would be the 5 if it was still a Best Picture,
Mm, right? Mhm.
like, 5 nominees. Sentimental Value was such a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
I've been spending the last, like, few months just, like, telling everyone that I know to watch it. Like,
Yeah.
it is so, so good. Um, The Secret Agent, I
Mhm.
think, is a spectacular film, that I hope people see. I don't know, what do you think would be the 5th one?
If it was those, One Battle, Sinners, I mean, if you think about, like, who won the other awards, it would I'm worried it would be
Hey,
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein, oh no.
Yeah.
It would be.
But yeah, I don't know, Begonia was one that would probably not be in the top 5, but that was one of my favorites of the year just for being a bonkers, insane movie that I can't believe actually got
Yeah.
in as many places as it did in the nominations.
Well, the funny thing about Begonia, like, when I'm out in the real world and people are talking to me about the Oscar season, that's the one that most of my friends have seen.
Oh, really?
They haven't seen Sentimental Value, they haven't seen, The Secret Agent. They all saw Begonia, they all watched it, which is fascinating to me. Like, that was the one that sort of, like, transcended
Mhm.
cinephiles to, like, the real world.
Alright, alright. Um, what do you think's gonna be next year's, Best Picture winner? Do we know yet?
Wicked Part 3?
Oh, yeah, Wicked Part 3, I forgot they were making that.
No. Oh gosh, I'm so exhausted by this Oscar season. I feel like the Oscars the award season in general has just become, like, it just far too long,
Mhm.
far too exhausting, far too exasperating. I don't think anyone enjoys it. Like, it's our job to cover this. We don't enjoy the fact that it's this long. I don't think the people who are campaigning enjoy that it's this long. Like, they are so tired by the time this ends. Like we talked about before, like, when they win the Oscar, they're just like, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
Like, they're just exhausted by it. Like, I feel like we need to figure out a way to shrink this down again.
Yeah, well, we didn't mention, the Best Actress winner, which was the most predicted, winner, but, Jessie Buckley absolutely breaking down in tears when she won. Uh, People were, like, kind of criticizing that as, like, "But she knew she was gonna win, like, was that real?" But I wonder if that was just, like, the full exhaustion.
She's tired. She's been giving speeches now for, like, 7 months, like, this poor woman.
Like, it's finally over.
And, like, also, I think for her, because she was so predicted to win, and she had won every precursor award. For her, it was like, imagine if she had lost. I think her
Yeah,
crying might have been like, thank God I didn't have to face the embarrassment of losing.
that would have been crazy.
Yeah,
That would have been a moment.
it would have been, and I would have loved to have like Rose Byrne win.
Mhm.
People were predicting Kate Hudson as a spoiler, which I think is kind of fun. Like,
Yeah, I don't see it.
first of all, she is so good in the film. Like, people who complain about her not deserving an Oscar nomination, she deserved it. She is so good in that movie. But the movie itself is so silly that,
Yeah.
like, the fact that she could have possibly stolen this Oscar from Jessie Buckley kind of amuses me.
Mhm.
But I think Jessie, like, melting down and crying was just because of, like, "Oh my god, it actually happened. I don't have to, like, be sad about this or weird about this."
Yeah. Well, it sounds like I enjoyed this Oscars, a bit more than you did, but what for like, looking ahead for next year, like, what would be the thing that you would change if you were producing it? Like, how do we fix the Oscars for you?
I think a lot of it is about the host, and I love Conan O'Brien. I thought he did a good job last year at the beginning. I thought he, like, sort of, like, disappeared by the end, and I
Mhm.
wanted more of him last year. This year, I just thought that none of the bits worked. Like, you want something spicy, you want something relevant and topical, and he kinda wasn't delivering for me.
Mm, yeah. So maybe we'll get a new host next year, or maybe Conan is actually host for life. We'll find out.
The other thing, like, we talked about the casting with the top
Mhm.
5 people. I want bring that back for the actors.
Yeah.
Like, it's a long segment. I know it's really hard to do that for a show because when you do that 5 people talking, it's really, really long and lengthy, but it's so emotional, and I think the actors, when they win, are more emotional in their speeches because they just witnessed this tribute. I
Mhm.
want bring that back. Like, I love that segment so much.
Yeah, well, at least we only got 2 song performances this year, and they were the 2 that people actually wanted to see. So that
I
was
know.
merciful on the Oscars' behalf.
But I do feel bad for the other ones, like, if you're gonna do 2, why not just do the 5? Like, I like
Yeah, you wanted to see more?
I mean, there's so much, like, filler on the show anyway, like, all these
Mhm.
montages and, things that no one really cares about, like, why are you insulting the other 3 people by, like, banishing them from the show?
Yeah, it's basically being like, "You're not gonna win, and nobody cares about your song."
Right. I what you think about the Sinner's performance? Because that was one of the, like, the things that was the most talked about moment of the night.
Yeah, well, one thing on just on the musical performances is that I couldn't believe that the Sinners performance went before the K-pop Demon Hunters performance.
I thought they were gonna open the show with Golden.
Well, so my kids were waiting up for the K-pop Demon Hunters, performance to come on, and luckily on the West Coast, it was just before 7 PM, which is already getting a little late. It was a little before 10 PM on the East Coast, so I don't think any kids over there, were able to make it to that. But yeah, the Sinners performance, it was cool that they tried to recreate that moment in the movie on stage with that many people, and I mean, I was taken by it. It's again one of those things, like, if you I think you've gotta assume most people have seen Sinners who are watching the Oscars, considering how popular it was. If you hadn't seen it, I think you would be even more baffled by that scene, as a lot of people were when they saw the movie and didn't quite realize what was happening. Um, but, yeah, I think they did a great job of recreating the moment, on stage. I think it was more successful in some ways than the K-pop Demon Hunters one was ultimately.
So, a feeling was like, they tried so hard to recreate it, but it wasn't it. So,
Yeah,
it's like, "Oh, you tried."
yeah. It was almost like, "Can we just watch the scene?"
Right, exactly. I don't wanna watch this, like, bad recreation, I just wanna
Yeah,
watch the scene.
yeah, but they tried. It was a valiant effort.
Yeah. But the Keep My Hunters thing was a very nice, fun
Yeah,
moment. I loved how emotional everyone was when they won that award too.
mhm. Yeah.
Like, and they try they tried to make a moment, which again, I love moments.
Mhm.
They talked about, like, how this was, like, the first time that that genre was being awarded at the Oscars. That was a huge deal for them.
No, it was a big deal, and I think, yeah, that's probably the most popular movie of the year in a lot of ways. It was on Netflix, but I think that was, the one that probably most people saw.
I mean, because I have nieces and nephews, I've seen this movie 7 times, 8
Yeah,
times.
I have seen
Like,
it many times as well, and I've listened to the music in the car more than you can ever imagine.
yeah. Which I guess, like, that's the beauty, that a movie that has that resonance in all of our lives actually won an Oscar. I think that's a really great thing.
Well, that is such a hopeful note, Kevin. After so much negativity, I'm glad we can we can get to a K-pop Demon Hunters moment of hope.
Yes, that's a moment of hope.
All right, well, Kevin, that was so much fun. Thank you for talking about the Oscars with me today.
Of course.
Yeah, and please, everyone out there, let us know what you thought about the Oscars. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with Kevin? You can leave a comment below the video on YouTube at the Obsessed channel. Please follow us there as well. Leave comments. Let us know what you think. Also, please follow us on Apple and Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Leave comments, ratings, reviews there as well. Let us know what you think about the show. And of course, follow Kevin on Substack at Obsessed. Thank you to our producers, Devin Rogerino and Rachel Passer. We will have a new episode of this podcast very soon. Thank you. Thank you.